Finals, and the Warriors a 1-0 lead in their best of 7.
Let's play with desperation tonight, fellas. From the start. Just us. 1, 2, 3.
Just us.
I got two.
Warriors just did not have an answer for the Portland offense.
The Curry brothers with some heroics here in game 2. A spectacular shooting night. 37 points to Curry. A 17-point lead has been cut to 1. Draymond Green throws it up. Kevon Looney throws it down. What a game.
10 seconds here midcourt. Lillard with the dribble. Down to 7 seconds left.
Comes hard left side, tries to hold off Iguodala. Andre stolen! He's stolen! The game's over!
Golden State survives.
All champs so far. Steph Curry with 36 in game 1, 37 in the game-winning assist in game 2 as the Warriors take a 2-0 lead on the road tonight to Portland. Damian Lillard and the Blazers up against it, but 32-9 in the postseason, 5-1. 32-9 home, 5-1 in the postseason so far. He's only getting 14 shots a game off so far as you take a look at Moda Center. Set up tonight for Game 3, a virtual must-win for the Portland Trail Blazers. The champs are just 2 wins away from a 5th straight conference title, but the Blazers have yet to have their turn yet at home. This is Game Time. Welcome in, everybody. Good to have you with us. This is 11-time All-Star Chris Bosh. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
The Czar, Mike Fratello, right over there. That's Brendan Haywood. The Western Conference Final shifts to Portland tonight for Game 3. For the home team's sake, they hope the shift is more helpful than the one that turned on them in Game 2. After a 65-point first half and a 15-point lead, the Blazers gave it all back and then some, scoring just 46 after halftime and just 22 in the fourth quarter. They gave up a game-ending 14-3 run.
We let one get away. Played much better in the second game than we did in the first. And, they won both games on their home floor. I think that's the best approach to have is understanding what we did to give ourselves a chance and, what hurt us and allowed us to let the game slip. But now we just got to, protect our home floor like they did.
I think we're a confident group, regardless of what we've experienced in the past. You got to be confident yourself, and I think that past experiences help, but this series is a little different. The team we're playing is different. The execution that we have to have down the stretch is different, but I like where we're at right now, and I think that, coming home will be good for us.
Time to bring in our Dennis Scott, who will follow this series wherever it leads him tonight in Portland with us here on Game Time. And 3D, going back through history, the Warriors have beaten the Blazers 10 out of 11 meetings going back to 2016, now 8 in a row. I know this is a better Portland group, but what is it going to take after a winnable game got away from them in Game 2 to get over the hump tonight?
Well, it's going to be a combination of things, Matt. First of all, we know the backcourt of C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard have to play well to get the crowd going and just kind of get the team feeling good about themselves. And obviously a guy like Rodney Hood, who has really showed up in the previous series and made a few shots here so far in Games 1 and 2, now normally plays well at home. So can the bench play well? Can the stars kind of set the table and give the team some goodwill, some good feeling, and maybe they can get a win here to Game 3 here tonight?
Well, as you know, Kevin Durant is not in Portland, didn't make the trip with the Warriors, and to hear Steve Kerr tell it, it's unlikely he'd be available for a Game 5 even back in Oakland. How much has his absence changed this series for both teams?
Well, I think for the Warriors, it reminds fans that ball movement, player movement, and continue to share the basketball when you get 30 assists in back-to-back games, that lets you know this team is pretty good. Obviously, Kevin Durant's a great talent, probably the best player in the world right now when he gets healthy and back on the floor. But also defensively, you saw guys switching with a purpose, not switching, let guys sneak back door. So defensively, it really helps the Warriors too. And now from the Blazers standpoint, they're saying, wait a minute, we're preparing for a team that maybe is playing more isolation throughout the playoffs. Now they're back to their old style with a lot of movement.
Dees, you mentioned the Portland backcourt. They're struggling right now, shooting in the mid-30s, combining for only 40 points after 2 games. They've got to be up between 50 and 60 combined, in my opinion, to have a chance against Golden State. But who's the next guy after the guards, the starting guards, that's going to supply offense for them?
Well, to your point, Coach, it sounds crazy. C.J. McCollum and Dame Lillard are so confident They believe they can get to their spots and make shots. And we always say this is a miss or make league. So with that being said, Steph Curry had 16 points career high in the previous series, had 16 points the other night. Can he come off the bench at home and continue to make shots? Guys like that, along with Rodney Hood. And then, of course, Aminu, they call him the Chief. Well, he makes that corner three at home, too. Can those guys complement one another and make shots tonight?
3D, Terry Stotts made some adjustments, cut down Enes Kanter's minutes to about 19 last game, saw a lot more of the small ball lineup. Will we see even more of that and less of Kanter and maybe even a starting lineup change in this game?
Great point you bring up, B. Wood, because Kanter is not getting up on that high screen, and that's how Steph Curry got off so easy and made the 9 threes in game one. So went to the small lineup, switching with purpose, but of course Steph Curry still gives the ball up and moves so well and runs off screens. So it's going to be interesting early in the ball game how Kanter can put his offensive rebounding, so to speak, on this game, maybe stays on the floor.
And 3D, what's up, man? This is CB. I wanted to ask, in your opinion, what do you think the Blazers can do better on the defensive end to try to slow the Warriors down?
Being able to switch with purpose. We've been saying it all the last 48 hours, guys, because think about it. When Steph Curry and Klay Thompson get to running off screens and running crazy, I think Isaiah Thomas calls it perfect randomness. When that's happening, Kevon Looney gets an alley-oop three. Iguodala backdoor for an easy layup and dunk. Things like that is what happens when you worry about two guys and the way they shoot the basketball.
Dennis Scott with us from sunny Portland,
yes,
Oregon.
The sun's out. Yes, I love it, Portland. I love it.
Wow, good night to be in Portland and to be a Blazers fan, they hope, by the end of the night. Thanks much. Much more coming up here on Game Time as we set the table for Game 3 in a virtual gotta-have-it kind of night for the Portland Trail Blazers. CJ McCollum and the guys in red and black ready to go. Try to put a dent in this Western Conference Finals series tonight.
Golden State playing without Kevin Durant for the third consecutive playoff game. They're down by 15 as we get set for the third quarter. Curry to Thompson. Thompson for three. Wide open for three. Got it.
I'm happy with the looks I got all night. Easy could have been 11 for 22, miss a few easy layups, a couple jumpers, but you can never lose confidence. And that's the reason why, because all it takes is 1 or 2 shots to get going. And luckily I made them in a timely fashion because we needed to hit a couple 3 balls down to spread the court.
We was down 17 points there in the third quarter, and we could have folded, but those guys continued to will us on both sides of the ball, and got us back in the game. And everybody who touched the floor, whether it was from the bench, whether it was starters, everybody was playing hard. And those two guys continued to will us, and we finally gained some traction and was able to turn the game around.
Inside to Draymond Green, banks it home. 13 straight points. It's a 3-point game.
We obviously got challenged at halftime to play with more energy, more fight, more competitiveness, and finding that edge. When our backs against the wall, we competed. It was an exciting, brand of basketball for that 12 minutes, and gave ourselves a chance to win down the stretch.
The NBA game is a long, long game. There's so many possessions, and with our team, we always feel like we have a chance. And we kept playing, and our guys got it done. They were amazing in that third quarter, and then down the stretch as well.
Thompson for three. It's good. Golden State back in front. Thompson hot here in this third quarter. Puts it on the floor, drives to the basket, lays it up and in. The wild third quarter comes to an end. Golden State outscores Portland 39-24.
It was a gettable game, and it got away from the Blazers in the fourth quarter of Game 2 when they went 1 of 9 down the stretch during that 14-3 Warriors run we mentioned earlier. Didn't get to the free throw line in that stretch either, while the Dubs were 5 of 8 from the field and hit 4 from the line. 4 of those 5 buckets for Golden State came via assists, and although their assists per game are about the same as they were with Kevin Durant in the lineup, they are moving the ball more without him. Czar, how much more or how much has the offense changed for Golden State without Durant on the floor?
One thing you're doing is you're eliminating the shots that Kevin Durant would be getting. So as a result, there are shots to be taken. But they understand coming down and just forcing shots is not the best way for them to play. So by moving the ball quickly, 4 passes, 5 passes when they come down, and bodies moving, and because they shoot so well, the defenders have to decide, am I getting up into him? And watch, by feeding Green in the post, he's a great passer. They start the split action. But reading the defense, Steph back cuts his brother, and you know Draymond sees him immediately, hits him with the pass on the backdoor cut, and there's Steph going in, finishing off a tough hard one. There's an unwritten rule with Golden State. When Clay or Steph pass the ball, the first look is back to them because the defender lets up for a moment. Watch, he passed. Watch for next look, Iguodala right back to him. He's wide open because the defender forgot for a second, I've got to stay up with him. It's just a matter of how they play, and they play so well. And once again, the pick and roll taking place. Look at the low opposite side. 2 defenders on 1 man. No one sees the roll guy. How can that happen in the game? You understand they're playing pick and roll outside in. No one moves from the offside. It's a wide open layup. They execute so well. They got people that can really pass. They understand their offense so well. And bottom line, when you got guys who make shots, pretty tough to guard.
Well, this team is predicated on guys who can shoot, guys who can move the ball and handle the ball as well. And since Durant went down with the injury, the Warriors have averaged around 26 more passes per game, and they've doubled their hockey assists. In other words, those passes that led to assists. CB, it's not a lot of fun trying to guard this team either way. You've got one of the great shot makers in NBA history in Kevin Durant on one end. You've got still Steph and Clay out there and all this ball movement the other way. How does it change the way you go about defending these guys?
Well, I mean, you definitely have to have a sense of alertness. I think that's the first most important thing you have to have. Then you have to have communication. But I think looking at that last clip where the defense broke down on a simple side screen and roll, those are the things that can't happen. You definitely have to have your principles intact so that when the game gets tough, when these guys are moving all over the place and making shots in your face, you have something to fall back on. Not having a bottom guy, being out of rotation, allowing Draymond Green, Kevin Looney, points in the paint, Andre Iguodala to get in the paint and really, really hurt you outside the three-point line and in the paint. I mean, you can't let them have everything. So I think just the alertness and really just wanting to get to the shooters and try your best to cut them off. It's not easy, but you definitely have to do better.
That breakdown you pointed out, that's not necessarily dependent on whether Durant's in there or not. That's just bad defense. You asked 3D about Enes Kanter's role in this game. He played 29 minutes in game 1, 10 points, 16 rebounds. He's a great rebounder. But in game 2, Terry Stotts, apparently more concerned about the pick and roll coverage, limited his minutes to 19. What do you expect tonight?
I'm not really sure. I think they're probably going to cut his minutes down even more if Kanter can't get up on the screen and roll. And let's give Steve Kerr credit. He's done an excellent job of scheming Kanter out of this series. He has run countless pick and rolls at the top of the key, somewhere where Kanter struggles. That is not his strong suit. And then on the offensive end, they double Kanter when he gets the ball. So they're leaving Terry Stotts no choice but not to play Kanter. Kanter is their 3rd leading scorer. So Steve Kerr has done an excellent job taking him out of the series because if he's not scoring on the block, then there's no need for Terry Stotts to put him in the game. And if he does put him in the game, they're going to put him in every screen and roll at the top of the key. And that's really not Kanter's strong suit. So got to give Steve Kerr a lot of credit. He's done a masterful coaching job. He's one of the main reasons why the Golden State Warriors are up 2-0 in the series.
You know, you brought a ball out here, which means you're obligated to show us how to play the pick and roll.
Well, I mean, I can show you, but who's going to be my CB?
CB.
CB, okay.
Hey, what you need?
There you go. So you start out there with the ball. Coach, you're going to be guarding CB. Now, Matt, you're going to set the screen.
All right.
The problem with Portland in game 1 was when Steph came off the screen, Kanter was back here. Those are shots that Steph Curry hits in his sleep. What Kanter is worried about is CB come off the screen, getting here, Steph going right by him because he doesn't really move his feet well. That is the problem right there. Kanter feels comfortable in the paint, but that's advantage Steph Curry. If he comes up in the screen and roll game, it's still advantage Steph Curry. So now the problem becomes, how do you find a way to play Enes Kanter and keep him in the game? I don't see how you do. I think you have to go to a small ball lineup, a little bit more Aminu and Harkless at the 5 spot.
We saw him sag so far back in game 1, and that seemed to be a strategy. That seemed to be the way they decided to play pick and roll.
I think that was a mistake by Terry Stotts.
What do you tell him to do when he's in the game?
I think you tell him the same thing that Tyronn Lue told Kevin Love back when they were playing in 2016 in the finals. Get up in the screen and roll, and we'll live with the results. We'll live with him beating you. But what you don't want Steph to do is come off the screen and roll and take shots that he hits every day in practice when he's in the gym all by himself.
Brandon, Matt, can we just do one other thing on that screen roll?
Sure.
If we have time. Let's go back and set the screen again. One of the fears of the big man when he comes up high, as Matt starts to set the screen and Matt goes quick. He slips the screen and goes. Now he catches the big man stepping out. He takes off right away. And those perimeter defenders are hugging up on the next great shooters.
Right.
It's Iguodala on one side, Klay Thompson on the other side. They don't want to come back in and be compact to protect the lane. That's how they keep you off balance.
That actually leads me to the point I was about to make, which is that Durant's absence seems to have activated old Draymond Green, the offensive threat, from right here at the elbow, where he can hit a shooter or send a lob up to somebody. He's a different player when Durant's not on the floor.
Yeah, he is definitely a different player when Durant is not on the floor. Draymond gets a lot more opportunities. He gets to be involved in the screen and roll. And then you have seen, whether it was in the Houston series or in this series, at the end of ball games, they go through the screen and roll with Steph and Draymond. It becomes a major problem and something that they do not have an answer for. And Draymond, I think, is one of the best at getting downhill on the screen and roll, and he makes the best decisions of any power forward in the league. No one plays that 2-on-1 weak side game better than Draymond Green, whether it's finding guys in the corner for threes or hitting guys like Looney for lobs.
Also got contributions from his backups, Kevon Looney. Jordan Bell got some minutes as well, and they're producing.
I got to say, nobody's talking about Looney. And every time they have a big win, he's one of the main reasons why. And I think what he's shooting like around 80%, I want to say 85% for the series so far. And I mean, everything he's doing is getting him those extra easy buckets, providing energy, getting up. He's moving his feet excellently on defense. He's being involved in the game. He's just not a stiff out there. He's creating spacing for them by being big in the paint. He's rebounding. I mean, he's doing an excellent job.
Almost 82%. In fact,
82.
for Kevon Looney, which is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
We checked with Elias. That's really good, as it turns out. CJ, Dame Lillard, scoreless the last 7:20 of the game in Game 2. Is it a matter of those two have to play better on their home floor, or do they have to find somebody else who consistently score the basketball for the Blazers?
Let's remember, it's not just the Portland backcourt against the Golden State backcourt.
Right.
Because if that was the case, we know that there are some liabilities in the backcourt for Golden State. But what they do by switching off, all of a sudden, as we saw at the end of the game, the last shot, it's Iguodala guarding Damian Lillard. It's not Steph Curry guarding him. And Iguodala is a pretty good defender. Or it's Green switching out onto the guard, rather than their other smaller guys, whoever might be out there at that time. So because of the defensive mentality that two or three of those key Golden State guys possess, and that's without, remember, KD is one heck of a defender. He hasn't even played the last 3 games. They still have pretty good. Klay has toughness, Green, great toughness, Iguodala toughness. No easy shots for those guys.
None of that sounded good for Portland, because I'm looking for a third scorer, and I never heard one.
We're still trying to find one.
Okay, all right, just to clarify. All right.
Maybe Rodney Hood. Maybe Rodney Hood will be your guy.
He has been at
played
times,
very
that's
well.
for sure. He's played very well for Portland this postseason. All right, more coming up here on Game Time. Stick with us here till the top of the hour, setting up Game 3 on the way. The most impressive team of the postseason so far, streaking toward the NBA Finals. What, if anything, Toronto can do to